Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me in understanding what the Productathon is all about. I hope you've seen my earlier video about why you should even consider taking the Productathon. This little clip will tell you more about what the Productathon is all about. So the Productathon is a 6-week consulting certification produced here in Campbell, California. And this is different from anything else that you might take on the web. So it's not a survey course, but it's a learn by doing 6-week course. Think of it as an externship where you work for 6 weeks not only on the principles of what product management is all about, but also work on real problems at real companies so that you get the confidence that you've solved a real problem. So we don't do toy projects, but partner with leading B2B, B2C companies where they have real challenges with nuances that you have to consider. So first, some rules. The number one rule is practice active listening. So everything that is being said or communicated to you is for your benefit. So try not to doze off or anything, but listen in and take breaks if you want. And the second thing is be respectful. Any communication with me or anybody else that you might be interacting with during the next 6 weeks. With that, first let's take a step back and think about what product management, why product management. Product management is exploding, and that's because software is eating the world. This is a very well-known sort of memo that Mark Andreessen, one of the founders of one of the premier VC firms here in the Bay Area, Andreessen Horowitz, has written about several years ago. And you can see it now more so, whether it's oil and gas or insurance or climate or underwater basket weaving. There is software or something to do with software, and that's where the jobs are. The other thing is that building software has become really easy with the advent of AWS and GCP. And can be accessed by anyone, anywhere, whether it's Poland, whether it's India, Australia, and it's harder for one company to dominate globally. You see, if you look back 20 years ago, Microsoft had full sort of domination, and now you find that there are Uber, which started in the US, but there are so many competing clones. Amazon, which dominates so much of retail, is being challenged by Coupang in Korea and Flipkart in India and Alibaba in China. So it's total world domination is harder to get today than it was 20 years ago for software companies. And consumers and customers are hyper aware, and they demand locally relevant products. What works in Malaysia doesn't work in Sweden. And even though the concept might be the same, say ride sharing, the nuances are different for different people, and with the people are very aware of what they should get. So it's really being like in Italy during the Renaissance. Everything is being appended, everything is being rethought. And if you look at some of the competition is fierce in building new products. If you just look at marketecture, the marketing technology landscape, in 2011 there were 150 companies. And by 2012 there were 350 companies. By 2014 about 1,000. And if you look at 2015, 2,000, 2016 some more, and 3,500 plus, and then by 2018 there were about 7,000 different companies and different folks just in the marketing technology landscape. So you can imagine how much more you have to do from a product standpoint, go-to-market standpoint, to stand out to your customers. So product management, for all the reasons that I stated, is becoming more and more important. You need to create products that resonate with folks. This is a typical life cycle of a recent product management study that McKinsey did, which tells you the kinds of things that product managers are responsible for doing. As you can see, starting from the top right, it's about defining product strategy, engaging with customers and partners, reviewing metrics, researching market and competition, pricing and packaging. So we'll cover all of these things. We'll talk about strategy, we'll talk about user research, we'll talk about success metrics, we'll talk about how to differentiate ourselves, pricing and packaging, and then on the other side, on the blue side, it's coaching, team management, and recruiting. So I have a section on awareness and persuasion, planning and maintaining roadmaps. We talk about how to build roadmaps, collaborating with other functions, which is interpersonal skills, defining product roadmaps, which is writing product specifications, mocks, working with engineering, and then finally they talk about collaborating with technical and design functions. So all of these things together make for what a product manager is supposed to do, and this doesn't stay constant, as you can imagine. Sometimes you are defining strategy, more so than other times, say at the beginning of a new initiative, and at other times you are writing product requirements or collaborating with technical teams. And the real trick with product management is how you balance the different elements that are shown here at the right time, and in the right situation. Therefore, it becomes really difficult for you to understand and learn how to do product management going sequentially through a coursework which talks about all these 10 or 15 things. It is the mix and the balance that works for you in your environment, in your team, with the personalities that you're working with, that makes you effective. And that's why the only way that you can really understand how to tune yourself to your team is to do something yourself and see and being hyper aware about your own strengths and weaknesses, and what you lack, what your strengths are, and how do you coordinate people, build your team, even if it's a dotted line team or a virtual team, to get the best output. So coursework that we will go through, like I mentioned in this framework, is the first thing is we start with data. Week 1, data, tools, what are the tools that we use, and then success metrics, how do we define success. The second is, which to me is the most important and where most people struggle with, is developing the product habit. This is something that I'll get into more detail in week 2, but provide a little overview in early in the course. And then finally we talk about product specifications and writing mocks, which is what most of you will probably start with. In the third part, we talk about product strategy and roadmap, pricing and packaging, awareness and persuasion. And this is an action-packed 6 weeks where we talk about a lot of different things packed up together. In some bonus material, one of the things that is very, very important these days is machine learning and AI. So we talk about how to incorporate that when you're a product manager, identifying new opportunities. This will come later in your progression into product management roles. In most jobs that you will get into, the opportunity would already be defined for you, and starting afresh requires a little more experience before you can get that thing. And finally, I talk about another topic that I get pretty often which is B2B versus B2C product management. What we expect there is an investment about 5 to 7 hours a week of your time. That includes watching the videos and doing the assignments, any conversations that you might have with others who are doing this or with me. Together, if you are able to spend at least 5 to 7